when you talked about it in your discussion earlier, you talked about people playing a part into making sure they do their thing in the school systems. But how does a regular person, like that doesn't have a degree in teaching, how do they make a difference?
I think number one, the question we have to ask ourselves is what kind of people do we need to be able to solve the kind of problems we have, right? Okay. So what kind of young people do we need to raise up? What kind of warriors and and queens and mothers do we need to have to learn how to raise up in order to fix the problems or the challenges and face the problems and challenges we have as an African community? Anybody can ask that question. Okay. Anybody can answer that question. So it doesn't matter if you a basketball coach, if you a mentor, yes, if you a person who cooks at the school cafeteria. Okay. If you understand the kind of people that we need, yes, then you got to pull those people on the side. Okay. Right, you got to give them the information that they might not be getting from the public food system, which we know they're not getting. You might have to give them the information that they might not be getting from their parents, okay, or from the people in their community. In African culture, it wasn't just the biological mama, the biological father's position or responsibility to raise their children up into manhood and womanhood. It takes a village. Yes, sir. It takes a village to raise them, it takes a village to educate them. So African people had rites of passage programs where the brothers and sisters in the community took the daughters, took the boys, right, took the sons, yes, sir, and brought them out into the wilderness for 6 weeks, yes, sir, a year, 3 years even, to teach them all that they need to know to be a warrior for their people.
In hindsight, all that sounds fabulous, kid.
Right.
Here's what it is.
Right.
You say the public food system, right?
Yes, sir.
They make you feel that if you don't have your credentials, how can you be a person that's fit to teach a child? As we know, a majority of all the schools, and especially the public schools, right, in the middle school classes and also in the high schools, it's predominantly white females that we know, and we're not going to just point the finger at all of them, but a percentage don't understand the dynamics of how to interact with our African American boys or girls. Right. So how is it as a person, like I said again, that wants to make that difference, but they are now labeled as a person that doesn't have the credentials to be teaching these kids what is so-called education?
You talking about doing it within their system?
Well, I just overall, like if you wanted to come in and say put a program in their system. Really not doing any teaching per se, but let's say you want to run a class after class.
Right. You have to get probably gonna have to get some Negro on your team to be able to pitch that to them. Okay. Or some liberal white person within the system who says, you know what, I think he's right. I think they would, do very well. You got to couch it in terms of what? They'll do better on the standardized test if we give them their coach. Okay. They'll do better, I'm saying? They'll listen more if we give them something culturally relevant on the side. If we let them dance or drum a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So you might have to couch it in a different kind of way, but the reality is these people are doing what they are supposed to do within those schools with our children's minds, which is to miseducate them and culturally misorient them, right? Okay. To make them hate anything that is African and laugh at our traditions. So if you try to bring that into the school, they say that's not what this is for, brother.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? There's a study that said that black male high school dropouts have a higher IQ of black male high school graduates.
Get out of here.
They say the smartest ones get out early because they see the BS. They see this ain't doing nothing for me. Yes. You know the brothers on the street are some of the smartest people that you know.
Definitely.
Right? I was in grad school calling my mans back in New Orleans like, man, can you help me out with this problem on this? He didn't even finish high school. Okay. But I'm asking him to deal with graduate school questions because I know he's smart. Yeah. I know he had a lot more intelligence.
But they get lost in the shuffle, though.
You get lost in the shuffle, but they need that, right? We know COINTELPRO said that we are trying to prevent the rise of a black messiah figure who can mobilize and electrify the black masses.
Wow.
So the public food system is continuing the COINTELPRO. Okay. The brothers who is the most intelligent and the most boisterous about the things that are going wrong in the school and trying to see something change, yes, sir, they got to get him out of here. Okay. They're not going to cultivate that leadership in him. They're going to get him out of there because they don't want them.
So there's no cultivation as far as in the public food system?
Cultivation of athletes, cultivation of Negroes, Uncle Toms, and Uncle Thomasinas, yes.
Wow. Uncle Thomasinas?
Yeah.
Because I go with coonism. Yeah, I talk about coonism at its finest, We might need to have an award show. You bring your guests and I'll bring mine.
Right.
But in this situation that we have right now, we know the powers that be that attain or refrain us from going the further length. Do you find out that it's more of us now doing more harm than white supremacy itself?
Preventing us from getting where we need to be?
Where we need to be. Well, especially in the education system.
Well, Europeans, man, they got this down to a science. You gotta respect the European for this. Wherever they have gone, most of them have used indirect rule. We look at colonialism on the African continent, look at colonialism in India, colonialism in any place where they have gone, they have used indirect rule, meaning that they train up a couple Negroes, they train up a couple Indians, they train up a couple whoever, to put them on top of their brothers and sisters and let them control them, so they ain't even got to get to the white folks. Okay. You got to have those gatekeepers, right? First and foremost. So they're going to put you out there, they're going to put those Negroes out there to say, all right, look, nah, we ain't doing that here, right? And so you think it's the white, no. The white man has his chocolate-covered saltines that's going to be out front to stop you before you even get to him. Wow. Right, and then you can see that in the public, you know, the prisons. Yes, sir. You can see that in the in the police department. Yes, sir. Right, it might not. Black police officers kill innocent black men all the time too. All the time too. You know what I'm saying? They're looking at the world through blue eyes. Amos Wilson teaches us that the black on black criminal, and shit, I would say the miseducated black teacher is nothing but a white supremacist in blackface. Wow.
And so you basically will say, bottom line, that a black doing it before a white is worse than a white doing it to a black.
I don't know if it's worse. The white person has put that person there for that purpose, right?
To be an Uncle Tom, to be a coon.
Yeah, man. I mean, what they have over us that we don't have really is the ability to pay people to do their bidding, right? I mean, if somebody butters your bread, as I said earlier, if somebody is putting milk in your belly, you are beholden to them, right? I like you, black man. You all right, but them white folks paying me. True. If you can pay me, no doubt, then I'm on your team. Yeah. But since they paying me,
they paying the bills. So how do we get out of that stage? How do we get back into the fact of where we look at each other as brothers and we know wrong is wrong, right is right, and fight what is wrong in our school systems? Because as we know, they're trained to program, and it's trained to basically take away our historical facts of what our greatness is. Because I sometimes say, why don't they just tell the truth? Go into the assembly and say, you know what, African American children, we have lied to you, and you are kings and queens, and this is how your history started. Yeah, that will help out a lot of things, but they don't do that. So how do we go in there and battle all these different entities all at one time?
What if they did go in there and say all of these things?
Okay.
What if they did say
perfect world?
What if they did say, you know what, we have committed, physical genocide, cultural genocide. We learned everything we know from you guys, right? You are queens and kings and all that kind of stuff. And then they say, but what are you gonna do about it? Wow. We ain't gonna this is our school system. We saying we did it to you. Guess what? We gonna keep on doing it to you. What are you gonna do about it? We gotta build our own.
Period.
We gotta build our own, man. The bottom line is
educate our own.
Build our own, educate our own, because that's the only way we're gonna raise up those warriors who gonna have that mindset to say, no matter where I am, if I'm working at this hospital, I got that African Centered worldview that I got from this brother, right? And that when my people come in here, when I see my people, I'm gonna be the spook who sat by the door. Okay. Right? I'm gonna be the person that's gonna hold us down no matter where I am. But if we don't have them from K to 12, and somebody else have them from K to 12.
K to 12 is the most important.
Most important time. Most important. I say goddamn K to third grade. If we don't have them there, man, we losing them. We gonna lose them. We done lost them already. Wow. So we gotta have our own schools, man.
So what would you like to say to the people about the last piece that you'd like to say about education and what our people need to do?
I would say that only a fool sends their children to their enemy to be educated, right? A deer would not send its baby deer to a lion to be educated, right? And even if it does, even if the lion doesn't eat that deer, he sends it to him, right? Even if the lion doesn't eat that deer, that lion will train that deer to go back to his people to bring him more deer so he can eat forever. Wow. You see what I'm saying? So he's gonna teach him, like, you know what? Look, deer, go to your people, tell them I'm not too bad. Right? I mean, we can be friends, even though you're natural enemies. Yeah. We can be friends. He goes back, man, lion ain't that bad, man. Y'all need to go over here. You need to go to lion school, man. Now he's devouring our children, even if he doesn't devour them physically, devouring their mind and making them deers with lion mindsets. So when a lion says roar, he's trying to roar like a lion. Wow. right? And when all his other friends are saying, man, let's run from this lion is crazy, he says, no, man, come on, man. They got good lions out there. It's the same thing we say right now. We got to build our own. Nobody else is going to educate our children like we can educate our children. Nobody gave you a damn certificate to be a parent, but you learned how to do it, right? So just because you don't have a license, mothers, brothers, you are the first teachers.
Peace, King.
Thank you much, brother. Thank you. Love. Let me give you my card, King.